guys, it's Kayla.
And Jim.
And welcome back to another Meteorology Monday. What are we talking about today?
Today we are going to do a Met Reacts on a number of movies that you had suggested, such as
SNOWPIERCER,
Where the Heart Is, and what was the other one? I forgot what it was. Home is Where the Heart Is, or Home is...
Places in the Heart. So these were three movies that were suggested to us. We didn't have time to watch all three of them, and there were only a couple weather scenes in all three of them. So we're just going to be reacting to certain tornado scenes. We did end up watching all of SNOWPIERCER because it ended up being like a really good movie. So not much weather, we'll get into that, but
before we get started,
make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below so you never miss the next Meteorology Monday. On to movie number one. This first clip is from the movie SNOWPIERCER, which was filmed in 2014, so back in a certain era of movies. You want to give a brief description of that era of movies?
We're talking global catastrophe, climate change, all in that era of movies, so this definitely falls into that category.
Yep, a movie that was released around this time that you might remember is called The Day After Tomorrow, and as we're about to see, there might be some similarities.
The Rattling Heart.
The Rattling Heart. So we did get a brief description of what has happened to the world before the movie even starts. As you can see, they have released something into the air, and now the world is frozen. Whoops!
An experiment gone wrong. Most of humanity has died off, except for those that are on this train.
Yep.
Based upon the visionary that designed the whole thing. Very interesting concept, especially in the age of climate change, global catastrophe. Different angle. Instead of weather being the predominant focus of the catastrophe, it actually wound up being human nature induced, causing the weather and then causing the catastrophe. So a little different spin on its origin.
Exactly, yeah. So I think from the context of the movie, I think we were able to figure out that that chemical or whatever that they released into the air is because the world was warming too quickly, so they had to bring down the temperature, and they accidentally overdid it, and they ended up freezing the world completely instead of just bringing us back to livable, cooler temperatures. But like you said, it's kind of like weather is just the catalyst for what happens afterwards. It isn't about like, oh, we have to save the world from all this. The world's already kind of lost. Let's see what happens afterwards. So we're on this train. It takes a year to go all the way around the world.
This is not the Polar Express.
It's not.
I just want to clarify. It's not the Polar Express. Looks like it. But it's
It
not.
does. Everything is very snowy. Very Day After Tomorrow-y looking, this scene here especially. Pretty much everything is covered in ice and snow, not inhabitable, there's nobody outside.
Oh boy, so if you have an avalanche or something that covers the tracks, it just plows right on through.
Amazing design for the train to be able to, break through all that. But something important to point out is that there have been avalanches. So in order to have an avalanche, you need to have some sort of warming, right? Otherwise it would just kind of be like this glacier.
A permanent fixture on the side of the mountain.
Right. So the whole movie goes on, spoiler alert of course, the whole movie goes on to be at the end, it starts warming up enough to be inhabitable, at least in some areas, and the avalanche was one of the first indications of this early in the movie.
That's right. What I find really interesting is that this train has been going, according to the movie, for 17 or 18 years, keeping the track clear, or at least rideable. We know how much it takes to maintain infrastructure, and yet no one was maintaining the infrastructure for years. Interesting concept on how the train can continue to go throughout the world without any impacts. What I just realized was they talked about how the train is able to sustain the cold of the northern climates and the heat from the southern climates. But wait a second, I thought that this CW7 stuff that they put in the atmosphere caused the whole globe to cool down to be looking like that.
It only showed a couple days, and I think we were in Russia the whole time, so not quite sure what was happening in the other parts of the world. I think we're led to believe that it all looks like this, but that's an excellent point. Freeze the world. I mean, the tropics are still going to be warmer. You would think maybe it'd be a little slushy down there.
Not to mention all the salt in the ocean, so how much cold would it take to freeze the oceans too?
What did they put in the atmosphere to freeze everything? And there's a plane that they talked about in the movie has been slowly becoming more visible over the years. So something's melting. And what else do we have? Another avalanche. Goodness. Would not want to be anybody on this train currently. What is happening? Is the world frozen? Is it still snowing? Because if it's still snowing, then it's not frozen. Because ice and snow are not the same thing. Obviously, now we see at the end everything is thawing out, but I mean, has this been going on the whole time? Has it just recently started snowing? Why has nobody thought that this was important information other than that one guy? Like, everybody's looking out the window and being like, oh, it's snowing. And nobody thought maybe that means the world is getting back to normal? I don't. One final scene from this movie, just because it's awesome. So the last two survivors, and then polar bear. Where did the polar bear come from? Are there more polar bears? Are there people that survived? We don't know, because the movie just ends there!
And you're at, in the Himalayas or Siberia or you're somewhere where it's very, very cold. What about other areas of the globe?
Props to these guys for blowing up the train and stopping everything in the coldest possible point on Earth. They're at the top of like the Himalayan mountains or something. So you guys couldn't have waited till the train goes to, I don't know, Florida? Maybe there is a chance that the Keys have thawed more than the top of Mount Everest, which I don't think ever will.
So,
is there oxygen up there? They didn't think this through.
I mean, you have to really, really make it cold for the oceans to freeze. But even if the oceans froze and it's moving water, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. The ocean is how deep? Eventually, I mean, a lot of like fish and stuff would go lower and lower.
Right.
So eventually, as it thawed out, your food source would tend to come back faster in the lower latitudes, closer to the equator. And so, yeah, why not just wait to have this revolt until you got the train to, because you've been on it for 17 years, you're on the same track, so you know where you're going to be at a certain time.
No, let's stop it where there's no food and it's freezing and oxygen doesn't exist.
Let's go on to our next clip, and that is Where the Heart Is, and this was filmed roughly around 2000.
My husband's painting a house somewhere on Commerce Street.
He'll be all right.
Hi, Marcus. Do you want to play cards?
I want to play with my bear. He's scared of the storm.
I'm gonna go look for Sister.
The weather radio newscast in the background.
Golly! Hailing out of nowhere.
Can we shut the door?
Dumping the buckets of ice cubes onto the actress.
Oh yes, you just hailed for half a second and there are tornado sirens. Let's go outside. Oh!
Wow.
What? Pause it here.
What is that?
Do I comment?
Why not? You comment on the rest of them. You might as well.
Add this one to my collection. What is this? We just saw the other shot and there was no cumulonimbus clouds. It looked like a straight, it was a nice day. Maybe it would rain. Where is the rain? Also, it was hailing, no rain. Interesting. What is that?
Well, the tornado looks like one from, what was it?
It looks like a tree stump upside down.
Was it Heston, Kansas, 1990? I forget which one it was. If you guys remember, go ahead, comment below. But it's that one brownish tornado has that kind of structure out over a field in Kansas. So I can see where they're kind of getting that from. But it's just there, and instantaneous hail, instantaneous stoppage of hail, and here it is.
Let's point out the fact, okay, yes, color, tornadoes can be this color, shape. Okay, but she was just outside. They just ran to the tornado shelter. And the tornado sirens have just started, and the NOAA people have just issued it on the... How did nobody see this before they ran in? This is not something that you miss.
Nah, I don't know.
Okay,
Let's keep going.
We'll keep going. Flying debris, cliche. Her hair's not blowing very much. She can't lift that. Golly. I too climbed the stairs upside down.
Being that far away, she should have been able to make it down.
Most definitely.
Okay. How much air would be sucked out of that storm shelter like that to be able to lift her, because it's a enclosed environment, right?
Right.
There's only so much air.
No windows down there.
And so what's lifting her to carry her out when you sucked all the air out? It doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, like what they're showing is like a wind tunnel effect. So it'd be like, you know, you're in the middle of the tornadoes sucking air this way, and then there's an opening this way so that the air can continually move. But in order for that to happen, the tornado would probably have to be right on top of her, in order to have that kind of suction. But there's no air replacing the air that the tornado is taking out of the room, so eventually she's just gonna fall to the ground and we'll be fine. So a little bit of a physics problem there. I think it's just, you know, every tornado movie has to have that
Right.
dramatic holding on for
That's the
dear
whole
life.
point.
And some movies nail it with the physics and some movies don't. And this is just one of those ones where it's like, if you think about it a little bit more, you would have to have at least a window or another door in the storm cellar, but a storm cellar is not going to have that, so it doesn't make sense.
Not to mention the position of the tornado relative to the storm shelter.
You can't even see it in the background.
The wind should be going from left to right as you're looking up the stairs toward the tornado. Be going from left to right. Well, the door was opened like this, so the wind is going, well, as you're looking at it, left to right.
Right.
So it's a sail, basically. It's up. It's not flat. It's up.
Right.
She couldn't do anything. She's like this. So that means winds are going this way, not this way, which is not what you wouldn't expect with the tornado being in that position back here.
Right.
So as it got closer and closer, you would think that if the winds are strong enough to do anything down there, they're strong enough to push that door closed.
Which eventually it does, but I think they have it backwards because how it's acting in the movie, it's like the winds are right on top of her, but that wouldn't make sense because the tornado isn't shown. And then it's like once the tornado gets closer, then it shuts the door, but it should be the opposite way because of how winds around tornadoes work. Inconsistent scene for dramatic effect once again. Hollywood gonna Hollywood. Let's move on to Places in the Heart, which was 1984, but I think it might have been meant to be beforehand because as you'll see, I mean, I wasn't alive in the 80s, you were, but I don't think they wore this in the 80s, so I think this might be back a little bit farther, but we'll see. Fast moving clouds, there's lightning. Did you wear that in the 80s?
No.
Okay, so I think this is set beforehand. Winds are moving all over the place.
Yeah, we didn't have that. 80s. Black and white pictures. I'm thinking it's probably more 50s. Something like that.
Oh, pause there. We have to open all the windows before the house blows away.
Which would be 50s. Definitely that time, that era, where certain measures were taken. They thought that that was the best thing. Wound up years later that it wasn't. But
Correct.
yeah, opening up windows is just a waste of time.
Right.
Doesn't really do anything. And that's precious moments that you could be trying to get to your shelter.
But also, you're kind of just giving an opening for stuff to fly into your house when the glass would act as a barrier between the wind. Even though debris can break the glass, you still want to keep the wind out of your house in case it could be, I don't know, throwing shards of metal or glass or anything into your house. Any extra barrier is better than nothing.
At least with them shut, the air resistance, it's going to try to go up and around the house.
Right.
You can force the airflow up and around.
Like
and
a
stuff
car
like
in
that.
your windshield.
Right. But if you open windows and doors, you're allowing that air in. Now you're going to compromise the interior walls and the roof, because now you're giving it a path in and it's got to escape somehow.
You can blow the roof off that way. Instead of it going up and around the house, it can go in and then go up. And yeah,
So
just adding
winds
to...
up causing more problems
Right.
than what it's trying to help. So
Right. So, leave your windows closed.
the wind's going to mess up her hair. She just spent all that time.
Look at that! They opened the window and there it is. Your hair. Or the tree can just open the windows for you.
Frank! Frank Spalding! There's a tornado coming! Get on in here! You're gonna get yourself killed! I can't! I gotta get home!
I don't think she's as safe as she thinks she is in her car. In the middle of an open area. His hat! Aw, I thought we were gonna have a lost hat again.
I like how they've been building it up so far.
Yep. It's not just BAM, there's a tornado. Like,
Or buckets of ice just dumped on you for 30 seconds.
what is holding his hat on his head? That's what I want to know. You can tell that's dust or rain, but
Or both,
or both, or a mix, but good so far. Wind probably should have been helping him blow notes closed. To an interior room, and what in heaven's name? It just took 2 walls and half the roof.
That looked like more of an explosion than a...
Did you see the flames going out the side?
I missed it.
Not sure what's in there that just blew up, but that was not from the tornado.
Natural gas
Natural
eruption?
gas?
Maybe?
In the 50s?
Oil. Natural gas.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some sort of electrical...
Kid brought C4 to class today.
Well, gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I like how the wall, just a complete square, just moved. It wasn't like sticks flying or like slowly being torn apart. It's just like, nope, here's the wall, now it's on the ground. Here's the roof, now it's on the ground. Let's see if it gets better.
Let's look.
Okay.
Let's look. Okay, so now after the tornado.
That looks like more realistic damage.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Yep, that definitely looks like a storm that strong. They built it up and...
I like how they still have some of the houses standing with minimal damage and then some just completely destroyed, because that's how it actually is in a tornado. There's some tornadoes that take out an entire half of the street, but the other half doesn't really even look like a storm came through. Depends on what the winds are, how strong the tornado is, how wide it is, what the path is. So good on them for showing what that actually looks like. You're not always just gonna have like a leveled field with stuff and debris all over it, and you're not always just gonna have some houses with roofs blown off.
I think they did a good job on this overall.
Yeah.
You know, might have been a couple of things here and there, but overall felt
Not too
very
shabby.
much like a tornado
Yeah.
coming, and what their responses were and getting to shelter. I find it interesting that this was created back in 1984, and then we saw one from 2000, and then the first one was 2014. So it's like the further on we got into the years, the more it became more unrealistic to me.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Go ahead and comment below if you've seen a trend from earlier movies and those weather scenes versus weather scenes that we see probably in the 2005 to 2015 range. Let's just say somewhere's in there. That most of the movies in the 2005 to 2015 range, they look very much manufactured and not realistic.
And you can see this as evident on our lovely little chart that grades movies You can see pretty much everything in the 20 teens is kind of bunched down around the -1 mark. But there are some exceptions to the rule. Recent movies such as 13 Minutes was a fantastic representation of meteorology in movies. And then to your point, also going back to like The Wizard of Oz way back, that one was also pretty good. So it seems like we kind of had this weird lull in the early 2000s where we were just like, nope, not even looking at Wikipedia, let's just do this.
Yeah, because 13 Minutes was just within the past year, and that was probably one of the most realistic movies that I've seen in a very long time. Maybe there's a trend there. Maybe Hollywood is starting to...
We might be trending in the right direction, guys.
That's right. That's right.
Don't get our hopes up. We'll still be cautiously optimistic. But yeah, so there are Snowpiercer and the other two movies that have heart in it. Let's rate them on the meteorological accuracy scale. Let's throw these posters up on that scale as well and see where they fall.
So for Snowpiercer, the meteorological accuracy for me, it would definitely, I think, would be on the lower end of the scale.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3 or a 4.
I was thinking about a 4 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had some good thought behind it. Obviously it was in that era with the climate change stuff and the CGI wasn't the best, but it was interesting to see, okay, we have global warming and we're going to throw this thing into the atmosphere and it froze everything. Not the most accurate scenario, but better than most. We'll put it at 4.
So how about the entertainment value?
I thought it was pretty entertaining. It is it's an R-rated movie, so there's a little bit to it, but it was a really interesting concept. I really enjoyed it. I would put it probably at an 8.
Yeah, I'd probably put it in the 7 to 8 category as well. Now, where the heart is, meteorological accuracy.
So we're just basing it off that scene. We haven't seen the entire movie.
Right. Just on that. Just on
these clips. You gotta put it down probably at a 3 or a 2 or something. It's getting pretty crowded down there, so I don't want to.
2.5. Let's compromise. 2.5.
Okay.
2.5, I think, would be reasonable for that.
Yeah, it had some physicsy things that just weren't, and then the tornado appeared out of nowhere, and the hail, and it should probably go lower, but I think we're running out of room down there, so we'll go with 2.5.
We'll go with a 2.5. Now, meteorological accuracy for places in the heart.
What do you think?
I think they did a pretty good job overall. I would probably put it up in the 7 to 8 category.
I was thinking 7, maybe 6. About 7-ish, okay.
You know, so maybe an average, or average about a 7.
We'll do a 7.
I think it was better than the other two movies.
Yes.
I think it's better than some of the other ones that Editing Kayla's gonna pop up. Yeah, you know, there's some improvement to that.
Room for improvement.
But not bad, not bad.
Hey, first there was clouds, then there were fast clouds, then there was wind, then there was like rain and dust being kicked up, there was lightning. It didn't all happen within the span of 4.5 seconds!
The tornado did do damage. They got to the storm shelter, and then that last scene that we saw was, you know, the damage to the town, and very realistic. So I think they did a pretty good job.
You know what they did that most movies don't? They left out the tornado and just showed the experience. And I think that's something that actually helped them. Because a lot of times you're in the moment, then you see this tornado and you're like, that's not realistic at all, and you're taken out of the story. So I think by avoiding it and just having like rain wrapped and it's rain and lightning and dust and everything, and then it's happening and then it's over, I think that kind of saved the weather aspect of it. So there you have it. Meteorologist reacts to Snowpiercer, Where the Heart Is, and Places in the Heart. Again, if you like what you saw, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. You never want to miss the next one. We do case studies, we do storm chasing, we do meteorologist reacts like this, so stick around if you're interested in all of that. Link down below will be our website, our School of Weather if you're interested in learning about the basics of meteorology, along with checking out our social media, which will pop up here.
I was late to the party on that one.
That was great. Until next time, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Jim.
Thanks for watching.
And we'll see you at the next Meteorology Monday. One of those will work.